I bet you all know. You all have friends. You all have friends that are thinking about voting for Donald Trump. Friends, do not let friends vote for con artists.
We just got some breaking news from the New York Times that Donald Trump has tapped Marco Rubio to join his administration as his Secretary of State. Now, there are a couple implications here. First and foremost, that Rubio will be leaving his Senate seat in Florida vacant, but also that Donald Trump has selected someone to be his Secretary of State who doesn't believe that Trump himself should have the nuclear codes. Rubio, for a long time, has been saying what a threat to national security that Donald Trump is, and now he's joining administration, which shows not only how much of a cultist Rubio has become, but how spineless he is in such an important role. And it's the reason that this pick is kind of blowing up in Donald Trump's face, because of so many resurfaced videos of both him and Rubio sparring back and forth, and one in particular that just shows how scared we should be, and we are going to get into all of that. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you enjoy our channel and want to be a part of this movement, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really means the world to me now. Before we get into a video of Rubio from just a couple of months ago that really worries me, I want to flash back to 2016 and some attacks he had on Donald Trump.
Let me tell you something. I will never quit. I will never stop until we keep a con man from taking over the party of Reagan and the conservative movement. He's a con man. He's a con man. He's a con man. I'll tell you why. Number one, look, people are angry and frustrated and scared about the future. Okay? People are working harder than they've ever worked in their lives, and they're running in place. And he swoops in and is taking advantage of that. He's taking advantage of that. He's telling people, I'm going to fight for the little guy. I'm fighting for the working class. Here's what he doesn't tell them. He has spent a career in business, 50 years, sticking it to the little guy. Sticking it to the little guy. When his companies went bankrupt, the first people that didn't get paid were the subcontractors, the plumbers and the pipe fitters and the people that laid bricks and all those people that worked for a living. They didn't get paid. He got his money. They didn't get theirs. He's going around telling people, oh, I'm fighting to keep other countries from taking our jobs. What is he talking about? You ever bought a Trump tie? If you buy a Trump tie, you're not just getting a tacky tie. You're buying a tie made in China or in Mexico. He portrays himself as the strongest guy on illegal immigration. That's fine, but Trump Tower was built by illegal immigrants from Poland, who he paid $4 an hour. 12 hours a day. Okay, a judge found that he was involved in a conspiracy to defraud these workers of their pay. Even now in Florida, he has a hotel or something down there. And 300 Americans have applied for jobs at that hotel. All of them got turned down. Instead, he brings workers from other countries. He acts like he's some sort of tough guy. He's not a tough guy. This is the first guy that asked for Secret Service protection. First guy. The other day he told the protester, I wish I could punch you in the face. Donald Trump has never punched anyone in the face, okay?
Rubio has now joined J.D. Vance in the long list of spineless cowards who opposed Donald Trump in 2016 and have gone back on all of their words, because ambition is the most important thing to them. That's very clearly true with Marco Rubio. He knew the truth back in 2016 when he was talking about the threat that Donald Trump is something he has still said to this day. But now he's eating his words to benefit himself. Not a shock from a Republican like Rubio, but certainly very scary that he wouldn't defend the Constitution and that he wouldn't stop Donald Trump from acting on his worst intentions on anything that comes to his mind. And we can see that in the clip that I wanted to talk about of Rubio saying that he doesn't really care if Donald Trump says he won't defend NATO countries, and we need to check that out right here.
You just pushed and got legislation to require the advice and consent of the Senate or an act of Congress before any president could suspend, terminate, or withdraw U.S. membership from NATO. So I want you to take a listen to something Donald Trump said yesterday on the campaign trail.
The presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay? You're delinquent? He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay.
You've endorsed Donald Trump. Are you comfortable with him suggesting that he wouldn't defend NATO countries and actually he would invite Putin and Russia to invade them?
Well, that's not what happened, and that's not how I view that statement. I mean, he was talking about a story that he talked about happened in the past. By the way, Donald Trump was president, and he didn't pull us out of NATO. You know, in fact, American troops were stationed throughout Europe, as they are today. They were then as well. But he's telling a story, and frankly, look, Donald Trump is not a member of the Council of Foreign Relations. He doesn't talk like a traditional politician. And we've already been through this now. You'd think people had figured it out by now. What he's basically saying is, if you see the comments, he said NATO was broke or busted until he took over because people weren't paying their dues. And then he told the story about how he used leverage to get people to step up to the plate and become more active in NATO. He's not the first American president. In fact, virtually every American president at some point in some way has complained about other countries in NATO not doing enough. You know, Trump's just the first one to express it in these terms. But I have zero concern because he's been president before. I know exactly what he has done and will do with the NATO alliance. But there has to be an alliance. It's not America's defense with a bunch of small junior partners. Some of these are big countries with big economies. Many of them are doing more. The Germans are doing a lot right now.
Rubio are really just unable to answer what should be a basic question for someone who is going to become Secretary of State and clearly doesn't care that Donald Trump is willing to let the Russians, let Putin, let China really do whatever they want. As long as they're, of course, saying nice things about Donald Trump, flattering him, that's all he's ever cared about. But it's not just foreign policy. Marco Rubio also seems to think that Donald Trump could do whatever he wants, contrary to what he actually believes a domestic policy, like we see right here.
Immigration. If reelected, Donald Trump has said he's willing to build migrant detention camps and deploy the U.S. military to deport the more than 11 million undocumented immigrants in this country. It would be the largest deportation operation in American history. Do you support that plan?
11 million. That's an outdated. That was the number 10 years ago. We're talking upwards of 20, 25, maybe 30 million.
Well,
There's been almost 10 million people that have entered this country unlawfully in the last 3 years.
To the question, would you support it?
The number varies big time. I mean, it's another 9 to 10 million people just in the last 3 years. The answer to your question is yes. We cannot absorb 25, 30 million people who entered this country illegally. They're here illegally. What country on earth would tolerate that? We don't even know who most of these people are. They talk about vetting them with what? They're coming from nations that don't even have document systems in many cases. Yes, we are going to have to do something, unfortunately. We're going to have to do something dramatic to remove people from this country that are here illegally, especially people we know nothing about. But 10 million, 11 million, that was the number 15 years ago. Today, it's upwards of probably 25 to 30 million, maybe more.
Senator, here's what you said about Donald Trump's mass deportations proposals in 2016. Take a look.
What a complete coward. Rubio, much like Vance, much like Lindsey Graham, these Republicans who you think know better but clearly don't care, they are perfect for Donald Trump. It's a match made in hell. Because of course, much like Trump, they'll do anything to benefit themselves. That's what they care about first and foremost. How can they advance their careers? How can they enrich themselves? How can they chase ambition? Not anything that benefits us. They don't care. And if you don't believe me, let's listen to Marco Rubio in 2016 again.
And once a choker, always a choker. I guess that's what he meant to say. He spelled choker C-H-O-K-E-R, choker. He called me Mr. Meltdown. Let me tell you something. Last night in the debate during one of the breaks, 2 of the breaks, he went backstage. He was having a meltdown. First, he had this little makeup thing, applying like makeup around his mustache because he had one of those sweat mustaches. Then he asked for a full-length mirror. I don't know why, because the podium goes up to here, but he wanted a full-length mirror. Maybe to make sure his pants weren't wet. I don't know. Then I see him pacing back and forth, and then he's huddled in the corner talking to somebody. He's like waving his arms up and down, and the person's trying to calm him down. So, anyway. But I'm a choker. All right. Next tweet. Leet weight choker Marco Rubio looks like a little boy on stage, not presidential material. He meant to say lightweight, but he spelled it Leight, so he got that wrong. Looks like a little boy on stage. It's not that I look like a little boy. I wouldn't even be the youngest president, but he would be the oldest president ever elected. And it's like an 8-year term, so you start to worry. So how does this guy, not in one tweet, 3 tweets, misspell words so badly? And I only reached 2 conclusions. Number 1, that's how they spell those words at the Wharton School of Business, where he went. Or number 2, just like Trump Tower, he must have hired a foreign worker to do his own tweets. Guys, we have a con artist as the front runner in the Republican Party. A guy who has made a career out of telling people lies so that they come in and buy his product or whatever he does. You ever heard of Trump vodka? You have? Well, it isn't around anymore. Or Trump mattress, or Trump air, or Trump ice, or Trump water. Those are all businesses that are gone because they were disasters. Okay? Trump hot air, yeah. So we cannot allow the conservative movement to be taken over by a con artist because the stakes...
The saddest part about all of this is I wanted to say, imagine if 2016 Marco could see himself now. But honestly, he'd probably be okay with this outcome as long as it's serving him, because that's what Republicans are about. That's what they always will be about. They'll throw us to the side, as they always have, in ways to advance their own position. And as we have seen, voters don't really seem to think that for some reason, mostly because of a broken media environment that's not breaking through. They don't think that Democrats are fighting for them. And that's wrong. And so we have to continue to make that case, whether it is pointing out how Donald Trump only right to pick tax cuts for billionaires, or showing how Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance and a long list of Republicans are willing to throw away all the values in search of the highest office they can obtain. And we're going to be talking about that on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you're stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. Until next time, I'll see you soon.